Welcome to the community briefing. My name is Gregory Sneed, and today is July 14, 2022, and we are glad you are here. So, we have some of our regulars, and we have a bunch of guests, young guests, who are in the biz camp joining us today. Wave, y'all. Everybody wave. There you go. Okay. They're joining us today and learning about things in the community, learning about business. So we are glad you all here. My name is Gregory Sneed again, and the name of my company is Lifesaver Financial Services, where I help my clients keep more of the money they make. And I do that through life insurance products, annuities, financial literacy training, and also financial coaching. Because I believe that when you feel better about your money, you feel better about your life. Biz Camp, any of you guys like money? Any of you hate money? I didn't see any hands. Okay, good. We're in the right place. Fantastic. So we're glad you're here. Our guest today is David Ford, and David is the Senior Government Relations Manager at Southern California Edison. And so Southern California Edison is delivering the electric power to us here in Southern California for some parts, and in other parts, it's the Department of Water and Power. So it's now my pleasure to welcome to the virtual stage the queen of our community briefing, Miss Crystal Mitchell.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the community briefing. We are so happy that you're here. The community briefing is a platform that was created to make sure that our small business community and our citizens of our community had the accessibility to our leaders and our stakeholders in our community, so that we will know what is happening firsthand in our community and not get the information after it is expired. So I always say, if you are not sitting at the table, then you are on the menu. So as Black folks, we never want to be on the menu, because things happen that is not in our best interest. So I am Crystal Mitchell. I am the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, as well as I have my own business, Mitchell Business Solutions, and I provide resources and tools and mentorship to our community and to our small business community. I provide these services for a number of organizations in our community, and as well as individual coaching. And I want to welcome you all. And today is really exciting because the Biz Camp is one of my favorite projects that I do every summer. That is a project that we do with the Los Angeles Urban League. So all of our kids today are here. Dave, you are in for a treat, because these kids are absolutely amazing and so smart. And Dave actually was a judge, I think, at one point in time for the Biz Camp. And so we thought this was a great time for the kids to come and join us. So the camp started last week, and they will be graduating and presenting their business plans on the 29th. So we're going to invite you all. And for any of you that are here today that want to be a speaker, mentor, or judge for our kids, you just need to reach out to us and let us know. So with that, we have one of our other team members, Miss Robin Phillips. She is joining us today. So kids, I know that was because of you. So Robin, would you like to introduce yourself real quick? I know you're at City of Hope, but can you introduce yourself?
Hi guys, I'm really excited to hear this presentation because I know we need to plan for next generation. The only thing I want to say today is vote, vote, vote. We have to get out there and vote in order for us to be able to be actively engaged in what's going on in the marketplace. So good to hear from everybody. I can't wait to hear the presentation, and thank you again, Crystal, for
You're
giving me my
welcome.
2 seconds. I'll be
And
back.
I know you'll be back. And our other team member, Mr. Stephen Turner, I don't think he's on as of yet. I think he has another commitment today. So with that, Dave is here. So we're going to turn it back over to Greg. We do have a representative from Wells Fargo coming in. So at the end of today's presentation, we will introduce him, Mr. Wendell Brown. All right. Oh, before I go, I want to thank you. This platform is powered by and supported by Recycling Black Dollars and the BBA, the Black Business Association. And we are also thankful to our sponsors, which is Edison and Southern California Edison, SoCal Gas, as well as Wells Fargo. So thank you guys. All right, Greg, it's back to you.
Always got to turn that mute button on and off. So, hey, I want to give a quick shout out to Anthony Balthazar. Anthony's got his own background there in his name. Wave, Anthony. There you go. He's got his own. I like that. Got his name there and everything. So, today, and just to echo what Robin said, voting is important, and we hope that you guys do a better job than a lot of the adults here. Voter turnout tends to average about 20 to 25% on big elections, and on smaller elections, sort of the off-cycle ones, turnout can be around 10 or 15%. That means 8 out of 10 registered voters are not taking the time to go to the poll, but then they're the ones who are complaining about the government's not doing this, the government's not doing that. So voting is very, very important. And Robin, I'm so glad you mentioned that. It is a big, big deal. And our ancestors fought, died, and bled for us to have that privilege, that right. And so don't take it for granted. All right. That's my,
and 1 second before you do that. And welcome, Ms. Rhonda Holbert. She is my partner in crime with BizCamp. And so couldn't do this without her for sure, because she's the director of the program. Okay, back to you, Greg.
All right. So David Ford. David, you got a middle initial?
It's A.
David A. Ford is the Senior Government Relations Manager at Southern California Edison. You might have heard me earlier say that Southern California Edison does a number of things, but one of the big things they do is provide electricity to lots of the Southern California area in partnership with Department of Water and Power for the city of Los Angeles. So when your lights are on, your computer's getting charged, your phone's getting charged, they're the ones who are bringing you that energy, and he can tell us about what that means, all that entails. But he is a results-driven public relations and public affairs professional, and he's got more than 20 years experience managing and maintaining relationships with the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors and governmental agencies. He's got a track record of resolving high-profile electric utility public affairs issues, and he'll tell us more about that. And those concerning, federal, state, and county governments. He's got a stellar reputation for collaborating directly with executives and high-level officials to build consensus. Consensus, that's a major thing, to get agreement and achieve alignment of objectives. He's an accomplished PR, which is public relations expert, who has successfully achieved objectives working in a fast-paced regulatory environment, demonstrating flexibility with competing priorities. So he has been with Southern California Edison since June of '97, so he's got 25 plus years, so he's been there a minute. Before that, he worked with Bayer as a senior manager, and Bayer is, with my New York accent, is Bayer, not the animal Bayer. He was an agency owner at State Farm Insurance Agency. He worked with Columbia Gas of Kentucky as an operations engineer. He is a graduate with a Bachelor of Applied Sciences in Mechanical Engineering from Ohio University. He's going to tell us where he grew up. Please welcome to our virtual stage, Mr. David A board.
Well, thank you so much. After that introduction, I don't know too much. There's more to be said. But you know, I had no idea that I was going to be speaking to future engineers, scientists, astronomers. You know, this group that I'm looking at right now here on the screen is fascinating to me. And I'll be honest with you, when I finish this presentation, I've got to go and meet with our CEO at LA Trade Tech. And I'll tell you about that before I conclude my discussion with you. But first of all, I just want to thank Crystal, Robin, Gregory, Rhonda, all who are very much involved in this program. And I always feel like it is very, very important to be engaged with the future. And your curiosity, your creativity is what inspires me more than anything today. We all were young like you were at one time in our life. However, maybe the opportunities that exist for you today weren't as plentiful as they are for you today. But we've learned over the years how to manage through the system. And we're here today to be a path, some way to help you along your path. And before I get started, I just want to thank Pat Click, who was on the call with us today. When I started with the company 25 years ago, I met Pat, and she has been one person who really stepped in to help me, and among many of my colleagues who are still working today, our existence would not be where we are today without her help and assistance. And it wasn't something that she was asked to do. She did it because of her passion and a commitment to reach back and lift up. And I just want to say, Pat, thank you so much. You know, there's a lot of things going on in the energy industry today. And, you know, many of you play video games, right? You watch a lot of TV. You have computers, you have cell phones. You reach in the refrigerator every day to get water, soft drinks, food. You turn your light on to study at night. You turn it off when you go to sleep. You have your air conditioning running in your home. All of that is a source of unused energy that is where we're at today. Is a place in society where we've got to come up with different ways in which we harness energy, generate energy. Now, I started my journey several years ago in a little town in Ohio, Arlington, Ohio. Worked at a foundry with my father. I was able to get a co-op scholarship, go to college, played a little basketball for a couple years, but academic opportunities were greater than my basketball ability. So it wasn't that I was all that smart. I just took advantage of an opportunity. And many of you will, as you get older, you'll realize that these scholarships that will come available to you are really something important, because it'll take you and excel you in your life and in your career. But I really was curious about how to fix things, how things work. And that was why I decided to go into engineering. And it was quite an adventure, very difficult to you know, figure out how calculus, analytic geometry, physics, thermodynamics, all of that stuff was very challenging for me to um, overcome and make a passing grades. But I learned that, you know, developing friends with people who are much smarter than me helped me with homework at night and prepared me for tests. And that's what I'm encouraging you not to try difficult tasks alone. If you can build partnerships and friendships with each other, you can build a lot of things a lot faster than trying to do it by yourself. I've been at Edison now for 25 years. It'd be 25 next week, July the 21st. And I've had the opportunity to work in different areas of our industry while at Edison, in energy efficiency, in the regulatory side, and public policy side, the governmental side. And I find it quite fascinating. When I started the company, much of my time was spent helping people use less energy. I took a lot of pride in finding ways to help African American businesses reduce their energy costs. And, you know, one of the things that I was able to start at our company was a Black History Month event that has been on our calendar for the last 20 years. And we started out with an idea about the evolution, connecting the evolution of electricity to Black history. And there are many inventions that are out there that started the technology of where it's at today. Lewis Lattimore working with Thomas Edison, Granville Woods, Frederick Jones working on mobile refrigeration and railroad crossing light, which all these technologies are much more advanced than they are today, but it took their ingenuity, their creativity to be where we are. It started with their desire to learn, their desire to be curious. And the world is a very complex planet. It has, you know, raw materials. It has resources, natural resources. When we use those natural resources to develop energy, such as coal, such as oil, such as geothermal, wind, solar, renewables, that many of you are seeing a full evolution of renewables coming on board now. At our company at Southern California Edison, we lead the country in renewables in our generation portfolio with solar, wind, geothermal, biomass, as well as wind and of course hydroelectricity. But you know, I find now that we're at a place where we've got to focus on how we can save the planet. And basically that is with the greenhouse gas emissions from fossil fuels and other forms of energy that exhaust out into the atmosphere is causing chaos in our atmosphere and in our environment. And we need to find ways that we can treat Earth much better than what we do today. And it's almost like us, what you eat is going to be how you feel. If you eat bad, you're going to feel bad. So if we burn bad fuels, we're not going to be in a great environment. So this is something that I'm dependent upon you, because when you get my age, I won't be around, but you'll be able to contribute to a society that will have a much greater chance of extending our life on this planet than what we have done in the past. And that is, you start right now. You start recycling. You start turning off the light when you don't need it, turning off the TV at night and not letting it stay on while you're asleep. Close doors and not let air conditioning just, go outside the house. Conserve as much energy as you can. Sometimes walk instead of ride. Find different ways in which you can be creative about reducing energy costs. The less energy we use, the greater chances we have in cleaning up the environment. Now, I'm spending a lot of time working on electric vehicle adoption and solar rooftops and windmills and water, how it's turned over into electricity and water, salt water, and to fresh drinking water. What we do on Catalina Island. But it's really fun at this time in my stage in my career to be at a place where I can contribute to this change. I'm going to stop here for a minute, and maybe some of you might have some questions, and you can ask me pretty much any question that is relevant to this subject, and I'd love to hear from you.
The BizCamp attendees, if you guys have a question, please put it in the chat, and we will present that to Mr. Ford. One question that I had posed, and I think you've answered some of that, is telling us about your decision to pursue a career and a degree in mechanical engineering. That was part one. And can you share with them what is mechanical engineering and how is it different from other engineering? The mechanical engineering focuses on these things.
Well, when you look at mechanical engineering, I'm going to break it down in a simple application. A wheel to a bicycle is round and you roll it. It produces energy when you roll it. If you stick a rock underneath, if you have a rock and you need to lift it up, and you stick a stick underneath the rock to hit wedge, you're using the stick to wedge and leverage to lift a rock up. It's a discipline of movement. It's a discipline of power, turning power into, turning action into power. Our skeletal system is a mechanical system that you have joints, you have springs in your joints. It's the way we move that turns movement into action, into energy. There are so many different facets of mechanical engineering. A car driving down the street, a bicycle, you're riding a bicycle. Mechanical engineering is a windmill. The blades on the windmill turning is associated with mechanical engineering. A turbine engine is associated with many disciplines of engineering, but it's still mechanical engineering in one phase of it. Mechanical engineers are ones that use tools and machines to reproduce products and things.
Great. Thank you. I have two questions here, and they're somewhat related, so I'll pose both of them together. Were there moments where you wanted to give up, and why? And the correlated question is, um, how did you keep yourself from not giving up when you wanted to? And then this third one is, how did you persevere through hard times? So there's three different people asking questions along the same topic. Can you share that with us?
Okay, I want all of y'all to take a pencil or ink pen out and write this equation down. Write this equation down. And this was told to me several years ago, several years ago, long before y'all were born. SE squared minus F equal S. That's S E squared minus F equal S.
Can you repeat
I
that?
think S F as in Frank squared, the number 2 minus F, S as in Sam, 2 minus F as in Frank equal S. Okay. Now that's exactly right. So that's self-esteem squared to the highest power minus fear of failure. I'll say it again. Self-esteem squared to the highest power minus fear of failure equal S. Anthony, I think you were trying to figure are you saying something to me? Okay, I can't hear you if you were talking to me.
I can't figure out that equation.
Okay, so I just gave you the answer. So S squared minus F equal S. Okay, that, and it's an equation that is a word equation. So you know what self-esteem is, right? Okay, and when you square something to the highest power, when you square something to the highest power, that means it's at the highest power. So the highest power means that you're going to feel so good about yourself, of who you are, and believing in yourself, and not letting anybody steal your joy, that you're going to be greater than what people say or what they perceive, and you have no fear of failure. Failure should not be in your equation. Failure is only merely a thought, or it's the decision that you've taken upon yourself to give up. And I have not done well on tests before in my career. I've failed tests, but I've never given up. So failure is only a momentary association with your current event. Now, fear associated with failure causes you to stop often instead of moving ahead. I'll give you an example. My son, who is 41 years old, he has rheumatoid arthritis, and that's a bad arthritic situation that his bones and muscles hurt all the time. We were on Catalina Island, and he decided he wanted to get in a kayak and swim. And I'm not the greatest swimmer. And I would have told him I wouldn't have done that. I was trying to, if he had told me that he was going to go out there and do that, I would have tried to discourage him. Well, after about 30 minutes, he was having a great time and enjoying himself. And what I learned from that lesson is that his his courage was greater than my fear. My fear was about myself having to go in to help him if something went wrong. But his courage was that I want to enjoy this experience. And what I say to you today is be curious, enjoy your experiences, make good choices, have good friends, respect your parents, make a contribution to society. In whatever you decide to do it at the best of your ability. Any other questions?
Yeah, we got another one here. One here is that what is the biggest piece of leadership advice you could give to young entrepreneurs?
Be a good listener and be willing to be humble to take advice. But you also, in order to be a leader, you want to be able to have the tenacity to be led.
What business innovations could an entrepreneur create that will help to save our planet?
That's a very good question. There are multiple innovations that I would think that could be useful. I think one is coming up with some adaptability that we can increase a car charge on a battery, or a system in which we have access to recharging batteries like we do getting gasoline when we're traveling across the country. A much better system. But recharging batteries, or being able to harness and recharge energy without producing it, but recharging it, storing energy.
Another question here from Marley. Is that Marley from had the pizza in Belize? Is that the same Marley? How
Yes,
long
it
did
is.
you work? Huh? It is? Hey, Marley. How long did you work at State Farm, and what made you no longer wanted to associate with that job? Probably because his name wasn't Jake.
I think State Farm was a great opportunity for me, and I'll tell you that was a mistake in my life that I left State Farm. I wouldn't be here in California probably if I had stayed at State Farm, but it was a great career. I lacked the maturity of not really taking advantage of what skills and resources that I had. That was probably my biggest mistake in my life. I'm just being truthful with y'all.
Mm-hmm. A lot of good thumbs up and about the formula that resonated. Can you share challenges that you face in your industry? How did you get around those challenges? And do they continue to exist?
Absolutely. I think some of the challenges that I face, and Pat Click could probably nod at this, is, there's not too many us in this industry. By 2035, there's probably about 2.5 million jobs that are available in the energy industry. African Americans make up about maybe 8.5% of those potential workers in the utility industry, which is roughly around 200,000, 300,000 people. And the jobs of the future are going to have to be filled. And the challenges is that we're no longer considered the prime culture of diversity. We're Latinos or Blacks, or we're all kind of mixed now. And there's different preferences that companies are looking for. We still have higher numbers than other groups. And those are challenges that I see. And I think over the next 5 to 10 years, we'll see more people like myself retire from the industry. And those are some of the challenges that I see facing. And even today, I have to be very much on point and show up at the best of my ability every single day. And that's what I say to you: show up, not just to be on time, but be early and be ready.
Patricia, you have something?
Yes, I want to say I met Dave when he first started Southern California Edison Company. And initially, well, as you heard his bio, so he came well qualified, but initially he was underutilized. And it was a little bit frustrating for Dave. Dave, I'd like you to explain to the youth what you did to demonstrate tenacity and work through the challenges that you faced when you first started and you were not being utilized to your ability.
Well, thanks, Pat. First of all, I found people that were mentors and people who were friendly to me. Pat, Ed Robinson, there's many others that I didn't, walking into an organization and thinking you know it all, it was not the right approach. And you have to be humble. I was frustrated because I wanted to see more being done and anxious to be promoted shortly after I got there. But I think that what helped me was the discipline of being coached by Pat and others, and taking time out of my journey to discipline myself to sit down and think about what could I do now, not what I'm doing later, but what can I do now. So that's how the Black History Month event started, and that really changed a lot for me because it helped people in our community reduce energy costs, but it gave a lot of visibility to the company. At the same time, we recognized folks that were leaders in our community, like Karen Bass, who was in the California legislature at that time. Adolph Dillon, where Soul Food Kitchen is there in Inglewood, he was one of the first people that we recognized. And so there was a lot of things that were helping me. I don't want to bring religion into this, but there was a lot of prayers, and my focus on a higher power, on God, helped me through those challenges. I'm a 2-time cancer survivor. I had cancer in 2015 and colon cancer in 2015, prostate cancer in 2018. So my journey has not been easy, but I've been blessed. And today is another blessing to be able to have this opportunity to be on the call with y'all today. And I hope that there is something that I said that will motivate you right now to believe in yourself, to have a high self-esteem in yourself. Don't worry about the fear of failure, but look beyond that and look for the success that you can achieve in your life and contribute to the society. This is all about us. It's not about me. It's not about one. It's not about I. It's about us. And each one of you make us who we are.
Dave, you are absolutely awesome, and I want to say this as from one of the nonprofits in our community, Recycling Black Dollars, and I'm saying this for all of our nonprofits. You guys represent a generation that really believed in the community organizations and wanting to support our organizations. We are quite fearful of what that looks like in the future, because you guys stand out on your own, and I know from being a Black person in a Black organization, what that means to us for our sponsorship and support from our community, from our corporations in our community. And so we hope that we're bringing in underlings under you guys that can replace you guys, that will have the same sentiments for the supporting of our organizations. So,
Got one last. Oh, go ahead.
no, just that basically just saying that. So we want to thank you for that. We do appreciate it. One quick question though: if a young person here that's wanting to be an engineer, what would be the steps for them to work for Edison, Southern California Edison?
What I would suggest you do is reach out to Crystal, Pat Click, Miss Click, myself, Gregory, and let's have a conversation. Let's have a discussion. You know, there's nothing wrong with asking, and you know they, Crystal, Gregory, Pat, all have my information. You know, I know we're in a COVID state of social distancing, but I'd love to have some of you come over to my office and I'll show you around the work yard and you get to see what we do at Edison. There's another organization that I am involved with called ABE, American Associations of Black Energy. Pat Click is the one that got me involved in that, and I haven't turned my back on the organization since I've been involved. This conversation could go on forever. I would like to ask maybe to have a part 2 of this discussion, that maybe we could be in real time faced, and I'll host this group over at my office at Edison or another venue. But I would love to continue this discussion, and you know, I'm excited about watching each and one of your careers.
Thank you, Greg. Back to you.
There was another question from one of the students to ask, what about solar power cars and solar batteries?
I don't know if there's too much going on solar batteries for solar cars. You know, we light up traffic signals and running air conditioning. That's an interesting technology, and I haven't seen too many solar cars. You know, most of the solar that you see is like stationary, where it gets direct rays from the sunlight that generates the electricity. It's an inverter that turns sun power into amps and kilowatts.
Yeah, and imagine solar cars might work well in perhaps California, New Mexico, and Arizona, but it might be a challenge as you go north. You start losing places like Seattle, where you don't see the sun for maybe weeks at a time.
Yeah.
So that would have its challenges.
I want to tell y'all, all of y'all young folks here on this call, and I'm going to have to leave this conversation because I'm at LA Trade Tech right now, and our chairman and CEO of Edison is there, and we're acknowledging 24 African-American students that there's 12 that graduated and 12 more that were going into this program to be line workers. And they will be powering up the grid of the future. And these folks work 2 or 3 years, and they're going to probably be making around $225,000 to $300,000 a year. And I hope I'm around to see some of y'all on this call be able to do that. So I hate to go, but I know I'm going to be missed and summoned here anytime soon. But if there's some additional questions that y'all want me to answer, I'll be glad to provide it back to Crystal or Pat or Gregory. But it's been a real joy. I did take a screenshot of us on this call with my iPad. So it's always a pleasure to be here with the future and such talented, bright, and beautiful young folks. And I hope y'all invite me back again sometime here in the future.
Most definitely, Dave. Thank you so much. We got so much from you. Kids, give him a big
Thank you,
round of
Dave.
applause.
Thank you, Dave.
And Dave, we'll
Yep.
make sure you get a copy of this so that you can see the children and the chat if there's any additional questions.
Thank you so much.
And
Thank
tell the
you.
family hello, Dave.
I sure will, and you give my regards to your family as well.
Thank you.
So we have Dr. Vicki Mays on, and she's going to give us an update on the COVID virus, and that's really looking forward. I'm so happy you came on today. And Dr. Mays, we have the kids from Biz Camp here that with a program that Ms. Rhonda and I do that we teach kids how to be entrepreneurs. So they're joining us today. So this is a treat for the community briefing, and we definitely need to hear from you today.
Well, it is just an absolute joy to see these young leaders. I'm not even going to call them the kids or the children, but I'm going to call them the young leaders of tomorrow. So I'm very happy to see you on. And I'm going to make a pitch to them real quick before we do COVID. One of the things that I hope that you all will think about, because it's something that we do a lot of at UCLA, and that is the development of apps in the health space. Now, I know you all are really technology savvy. You see a little problem and you develop apps. Well, we actually train engineers, physicians, and others about apps that might be useful in the healthcare environment. I'm just going to give you a quick one because I want you all to really take me seriously and think about this, because that's where also the money is. So for example, we have something called Wearables that we do. And that is people who used to not be able to come all the way to UCLA to have surgery because they live so far away in case they had some emergency to get back that we would worry about them. Well, now we have things that we let them go where they wear it at home, and it tells us things like what their temperature is like, if they're showing infections. Those are things that are developed. So just so you know, students at UCLA are forever developing apps for us to consider using. There are ones in mental health, there are ones in all kinds of health things. So in your entrepreneur days, I want you to think about a field where it is wide open. And, you know, just think about if something like an agency as big as Kaiser or Drew or UCLA, you know, decided they wanted to use this app and interface with your with the, you know, the medical records, you know, we probably have to come to you for donations. You'd be so rich. So, you know, I just want to encourage you to think about that. And Crystal, I'm happy to talk to them further about that area if you think it's beneficial.
Oh, awesome. Actually, we in the chat, there's a link there. We love for people to come from the community to talk to the kids. The kids will be in camp till the 29th of July when they will do their competition. But if you want to come out, Dr. Mays, and have a chit chat with them about wearables and other business inventions, we would definitely love to have you. So just making that offer. And anyone else that's on the call.
You got it, because I do the training every year where we bring these people in and train them how to think about the development of ideas. And so being an entrepreneur is something that I think is really needed and special in our community. But let me now talk about keeping everybody healthy and well and alive and everything else, because everybody on here is now at an age where they could get a COVID vaccination. So it's no longer do we have anybody that's left out. Only if you're like maybe below 6 months of age, do we have to say that, you know, you have to wait. But all of you can think about what I'm going to say if you haven't been vaccinated. So the thing I was going to discuss today is, we may be very close to those of you who are in business, we may be very close to having to go back to a mask mandate for indoor facilities. And that's because we're starting to see like 5,000 cases a day of people who are getting infected. And remember, when I tell you what the real cases are, we know there's many more, because when people do home testing, they don't actually call in any place and tell us, oh, guess what, I'm infected. They may call into their work, and sometimes we get it reported that way. But for the most part, there are a lot of other cases that we don't end up learning about. So what you see is what we call a tip of the iceberg phenomena, which means you see the top, but oh my God, in any iceberg, the bottom is usually bigger. So one of the things that we've recently learned is we used to say to people when they got infected with COVID, that the body's response to COVID actually provided them with an immune response that might be useful for maybe about 12 weeks. Well, no more is that true. The last study that went on said that that immunity may last for only about 28 days. And one of the reasons people are really trying to figure out, like, but I've been vaccinated and I've been boosted, why did I get infected? There are new variations of COVID. And what's being talked about is the BA4 and the BA5. And the BA5 is very transmissible. And so in the fall, when they're going to talk about whether or not many of us who've been vaxxed and boosted are going to get a new booster, it will be a booster that probably has in it some of the variants. It's going to be made with the variants that come from these very virulent current spread that we have. So people who have been vaccinated, even who've had COVID before, are getting reinfected because the current vaccine is not one that was made that really deals with BA4 and 5. You still should get it because it helps you, but it doesn't protect you 100%. So I want to make sure that people understand you still need to be protecting yourself. And, this time the question isn't just, have you been, vaccinated and boosted, but we have to kind of get a sense of when, and to know that these new variants that are out there are a little stronger than the actual vaccine that we've had in the past. So being vaccinated is still important. So I would tell you all that you still should be vaccinated. If you haven't, talk to your parents about that. One of the things I would tell you why it's important is because, believe it or not, as sad as it sounds, kids do get hospitalized, and some kids have died from COVID. So some of that depends on how healthy you are. And sometimes you don't know how healthy your immune system is. And you have things and you didn't even know it. So, Crystal, what I'd love to be able to do is to find out if there are any questions. I don't usually get to have this audience. So if they want to understand anything about COVID or anything that I've just said, I would love to be able to give them the opportunity to ask those questions. And remember, there is no question that's not worth asking, because you are important, and what you wonder about, you should make sure that you ask about, because you could be the next person to solve the very thing that you wonder about. So we welcome all questions.
Well, there are some questions rolling in.
Oh, okay.
How many variants of COVID are there, and what's the most severe? That's from Miss Journey.
Okay, so let me start there and tell you that it depends on what country you're in. So it's like there are different variants in some of the other countries than what we have. But what we're talking about right now in the US is a variant 5 that we're on. And in terms of the variant, there's different labels that we've used. And this is where Mr. Sneed's really good because he knows all about, omega and all the Greek letters. The Greek letters have been used to name them. But the variant that we have now is variant 5. And the reason we have variants is because the people who don't get vaccinated, when they get infected, sometimes what happens is that it changes because the vaccine, a disease wants to try and live. So it will mutate and change itself to be very strong. So right now in the US, we're on 5. How high is the percentage? How high is the percentage of going back to wearing masks? If you're asking me the question of how likely is it we're going to wear a mask, it's very high because the mask wearing is set by an indicator of how many cases, hospitalization, and deaths that we have. And LA County is getting close to what we call the serious level. So what I would tell you to do is if you listen to the head of the Department of Public Health, which is Dr. Barbara Ferrer, and she's usually on the evening news. She has said that maybe by the end of the month, we might be wearing masks in indoor situations. Okay, are you meant to get a second booster shot as well? Well, boosters are also age related. So I think you all are a little ways from boosters. You're still at the vaccine stage. If you're a person who has been vaccinated, we have so far had up to 2 boosters, and there's going to be talk of a 3rd booster in the fall. Would you want the mandates, the mask mandates to come back or not? Okay, now Crystal will know how I'm going to answer this. I am a person who has protected themselves as well as I can, and that is by following the public health directives. When I wear a mask, I protect myself, but I also protect everybody else's grandmother and little kids, because if I have become infected, I might not know because I have been vaccinated and boosted. So it may not show on me. So while I'm out there spinning and talking and blah, blah, blah with no mask on, I could accidentally infect somebody who doesn't have a good immune system. You all have people in your family sometimes who have cancer and autoimmune diseases. I wouldn't know that if they were in the store. So I wear my mask because I don't ever want to have the horrible experience of somebody telling me they got infected, and then I go test and realize it could have been me. And I don't want anybody to do that to me, particularly little kids. But there was no vaccine, and little kids often have great immune systems, and you can walk around with a lot of germs. And some kids were walking around infected and didn't know it. And they infected other people in their household or friends or what have you. So I welcome the mask coming back because so many people are getting infected. People that I know are getting infected. And I feel really bad about that.
We're gonna have to wrap it up, but we're gonna invite Dr. Mays to Biz Camp, and so she's gonna be able to answer other questions for us because she's gonna talk to us about what wearables and other things that UCLA may buy from you as a business owner, and that's a good thing. But we do want to thank you so much, and so Dave and Pat Click, and next week you guys tune in to the business zone. I'm sorry, to the community briefing. And at that, I'm gonna turn it back over to Greg. And we want to send the kids back over to Biz Camp so we can wrap up Biz Camp, Miss Rhonda.
No, I think we can let them go.
All righty. So guys, when we close out today, you guys can go home. I mean, you guys can come off and camp will be over for the day. Remember, homework is understanding and searching for your target market and continuing establishing your customer persona. And we will see you in the morning at our regular scheduled time.
I have a homework assignment for them. I have a homework assignment for you guys. Research and Google the name Granville Woods.
Write that down, guys.
GranvilleLle Woods. I'll put it in the chat. Granville.
You went on mute, Greg.
I was trying to tap into the into the chat and it went. So his name is Granville Woods, and Google him, research him, and check him out.
All right. Miss Rhonda, you were going to say something. Stephen, did you have something to say to close us out?
Yes, I did. Some of the young people, young entrepreneurs may have questions. I'll go back to the class for those that want to meet me there.
Okay. All righty. The homework. I'll be back over there as well. Miss Rhonda will give you that. Somebody said the first Black engineer. Awesome. Mr. Stephen, did you have a closing? No. Okay. Well, thank you guys, and thank our regular visitors for staying over. Michelle and Victoria, welcome. We are so happy to have you. And please come back and see us again next Thursday at 11 o'clock. We are here every Thursday morning at 11 a.m. At the same bat channel. So thank you guys. We'll see ya. And if you guys want to volunteer and come speak to the kids, let us know.
Bye. Program. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Crystal, can you just tell me how we work it out? You want to send me an email or?
Yeah, I will. I'll send you an email.
Okay.
All righty.